Welcome to the Lafaya podcast, the podcast for people who refuse to fold in the face of adversity. Whether you're navigating personal challenges or professional obstacles, this show is a reminder that you have the power to play to win. Hello, how are you? I hope that you have been well since the last time you caught up to my show, which I'm hoping that was the last time. I have with me today my good friend Daniel. He is an awesome human being. I am going to have him introduce himself because no one can do it better than he can. And then we're going to jump right into our discussion. So, guys, buckle up. I hope you're ready for something great, some wisdom to be kicked to you today. All right. Hey, Danny.
Lafaya,
Daniel.
thank you so much.
So tell us
So,
a little bit about you.
absolutely. When I started writing software at 8 years old,
Did you say
never in
8?
8 years old, never in my wildest dreams did I think that would be my career. But 45 plus years later, I'm still doing the same thing. And never did I dream of ever adopting children. And now we look into the future after having adopted 6 children,
Wow.
ready to be grandparents. Those children have grown up, they've survived their trauma, and they are applying what they've learned from us to now become parents and go down that road, which is remarkable to me.
Wow.
So
Okay, so
that's me in a nutshell.
Daniel, So because you kind of glossed over, right? This humongous detail about your life. Oh yeah, and having raised six foster children, right? Oh my goodness, you are. I think I get a lot of oh bless your heart, from people when I talk about just my three nieces that I that I adopted. But now you have brought into your home and raised six foster kids. That's so awesome. It's such a service that you have provided, and I'm sure they have wonderful lives because they had the chance to be raised by you.
It's like winning the lottery because they have completely shifted our lives in good ways, bad ways, and most importantly, so many rewarding ways, Lafaya.
Yeah. So
It's incredible.
so how did you come to how did you become a foster parent? Like what were the circumstances that brought that around to you?
I grew up in foster care in a very abusive home
Hmm.
and was often beaten, and my brothers and I were tied down. Well, my brother was tied down. We weren't, but the beatings were frequent. And so my family who adopted me, the Halls, they showed me a completely different way of life. One that was full of praise and cheerleading from my mom to making sure that I had the unconditional love that I needed. Not letting me take advantage of them, but giving me a swift talking to when I needed it.
Yes.
Um, but when I met my wife, who I met on eHarmony, it was, before we got married, she's like, would you ever consider fostering and adopting children? And I'm like, oh hell no. I don't want to
Oh,
have to parent a child like I was growing up. And lo and behold, our first placement of 2 little girls, it was all right there in front of me, Lafaya. All the lying, the stealing, the hoarding of food, all the stuff
yes.
that I used to do. It was right there. I couldn't get away from it. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta parent this.
Right.
So, but on the flip side of that, it was the first time that I saw myself through our kid's eyes as a little boy. And it was just so healing.
Yes.
And it was difficult. It still is. It's a challenge because now those 2 little girls are grown up and now becoming moms.
Right.
And it's like you go through that same thing all over again, and they're asking us, what should I do? It's mainly asking my wife Tina, who said, who asked me if I would consider fostering and adopting. It's mainly her because she just has this heart of gold,
Yes.
and she sees the best in you. She doesn't look at the negativity. It's like she reaches into your soul and capitalizes on the best parts of you. She does it with me because I'm the biggest kid in the house, and she does it with her kids. But more importantly, she helps me out to understand our kids' trauma. And that's huge for me because, one of our boys is autistic. And, when he's stemming, she has to remind me, you know, he's doing this, he's doing this. Just let him do his thing, let him finish what he's doing, and then just approach the situation. She gives me some key things to ask him, and it's predictable. He's predictable every single time. So yeah,
Man, so how did you get to the space and place where you were like, okay, let's do it, right? Because there was somewhere between that
yeah.
that she asked you, do you think you would be willing to? And you're saying, oh heck no. And
It's
then you guys actually welcoming in your first two foster children. What happened between then and there um, for you to have a change of heart or a change of mind?
you're a card player. It's like Texas Hold'em. You're all in or you're all out.
Man,
And with me, it's all in on trusting that she's going to take my hand and help me navigate this, and we're going to do it together. And she has done that. Oh my gosh, she has done that. And that one thing of just putting my trust in her abilities to lead was pivotal for me. And leading isn't just saying, okay, let's go do it. It's, when you have kids that come in and they have this trauma and that trauma and more trauma, and then you find out 2 or 3 years later there's additional trauma from all the stuff that happened in utero. She's not there saying, "Oh, we'll figure it out." She researches the heck out of that stuff, and she probably knows more than the doctors know at certain points in time.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I placed my trust in her and knew that you know, she was the one. She was my forever wife. And it just, man, I can't
Man,
say enough.
so that is so awesome. I just, because as you're talking, of course, like all of these parallels are hitting me, right? Because now in life starting out, you were dealt kind of a messed up hand, right? Or what would seem to look like, something that wasn't a good hand. They call it a raw deal, right?
Yeah,
Right? Just and in life, maybe you were dealt a few more cards that weren't all that lovely, right? But you got to a place to where you located someone that you trusted in, okay, so that you could say, you know what? I think I can enter into this world that I never thought I thought I would never want to raise a child who went through some of the kind of stuff that I went through some of the behaviors that we can see in some foster children, right? I thought I couldn't do such a thing, but then all of a sudden here I am brought to this place in life, right? Where now I have what I need in order to still to be able to play that hand that maybe not all people would play, maybe that 10-7. Maybe all people wouldn't play that hand, right? It's not pocket aces or anything, but I think I can play this hand now that I have the proper support,
that's the
right?
key thing. Everything that we talk about and all those parallels is not just one person doing it. There's two people in this journey. And we'll probably get into it more, but those those key pivotal things for us are forgiveness,
Yes.
always forgiveness, and two, communication.
Yes.
Forgiveness and communication. If you had nothing else, those two things, that if you taught people that you were responsible for, then you've done a service to the world. That, because along with that forgiveness comes empathy,
Yes.
trust, and that those communication skills of letting them know, hey, just just be honest. We're not going to get mad at you. Just
Yes.
let us know what happened. Be honest, and I promise you, your honesty will pay off. And we are
Yes.
committed to that 100%, because when you work with that cognitive brain that's just not there, and they don't have that trust that you're not going to get mad, then they're going to lie every single time.
There it
And you
is.
want to build those communication skills with them. You want them to be able to go to anybody and say, you be able to be honest. And sometimes it's hysterical. We had a cop that showed up at the house. My dad ran a red light. You know, my dad did this and my dad did that. My dad, my mom, my dad. It's funny sometimes because they, our son is autistic. He wants to be honest. We pull up to Chick-fil-A. It takes him 25 minutes to come out the food. It's like the mafia. Our son will roll down the window, look at them. What took you so long? The window goes back up, and then it goes back down again. I'm not happy with the service. And we're just sitting there laughing. But he's being honest. I love that he doesn't have a filter.
Yes.
And he's the most honest person.
Now,
It's a
isn't
lot.
that
It's incredible sometimes. Just I wish more adults would have that much honesty sometimes.
now, isn't it interesting looking at those two sides, those two different sides? They're so far from each other, right? One end of the spectrum to the other, from those who really have a hard time with being honest, with telling the truth because of that. They have that fear of loss. They've already been abandoned
Yeah,
once, right? If you're upset enough with them, you might disappear too, right? The
yeah,
people from the original love, the people who were supposed to love them no matter what, right? They failed them, right? And so now they're in a situation where they're like, well, you know, how do I keep anybody else around if those who are supposed to love me don't even do what they're supposed to do, right? And they're not forgiving, they're not able to stay or keep me for whatever reason, right?
yeah,
And so, but that is so but looking at the differences between those who don't tell the truth and then those who kind of they don't know where to cut it off.
yeah,
That no filter, that those things that I remember. Oh, I had one of my kids. Oh my goodness, they walked up to a person. This was many many years ago. Looked at him straight in the face and looked at me and said, "Mom, is that a girl or a boy?" And I was like, "Oh no."
yeah,
I
yeah,
was like, "Oh no." I was like, "Oh baby, social skills." and and so but yes, it's I think kind of having the chance to live with both gives you an opportunity to appreciate a little bit of, if you can't, a little bit of both, right? A little bit of it.
hmm,
So when you get those that are overly honest, I mean, I love the honesty. I love the blunt honesty. Okay, unless it's embarrassing moments, but I love it most of the time. But oh my goodness, most people they don't appreciate it as much. But if you get a chance to have kids who don't tell the truth, then it kind of gives you a different perspective where you're like, oh, oh, it's tough, but okay, I get it, right? Like I can this one I can laugh about. This one I can say, okay, well at least it's not on the other end of the spectrum, right? And
yeah,
so, but so it's so important to kind of have just getting back to what you were talking about, learning those. those skills, gaining that knowledge that you need to gain in order to play that hand that you've been dealt, right? That's so key. And so when I asked to, to tell me about, kind of a situation where you've had to, kind of play the hand you're dealt, you share the story with me, and you have learned how to master playing that hand you've been dealt by way of gaining wisdom and knowledge and learning as you go, and and understanding that the two most important things out there or that you can think of are communication and what was your other, you said communication
Forgiveness.
and forgiveness. Yes,
Forgiveness.
oh my goodness, so
Yeah.
important. Forgiveness and communication, and there's so much that's built into that forgiveness
Mhm.
piece, right? So it's like self-forgiveness. I can talk about that for all day long, but the more you're able to forgive others, right, the more that same forgiveness is extended to yourself, right?
Correct.
Often a lack of forgiveness can for others also it comes in line with it. It comes hand in hand with that lack of forgiveness of self. If you find a person who's really hard on other people, you find a person who's really hard on themselves, right? Because being able to forgive those mistakes for whatever reason is a difficult thing to do. But yes, oh my goodness. Okay. So, yes, you have been dealt quite a hand, and you haven't even described all six of the children that you had to raise. I mean, that you've raised, that you so wonderfully raised. But based on your story, you found healing and playing the hand that you're dealt. You found healing in raising those who come from maybe not the exact same circumstances as you, but similar backgrounds and situations as you. So that's so absolutely wonderful. Now my second question, like, kind of my other side that I like to try to deal with in each of my episodes is how do you deal with those moments that are really, really tough? They're hard. They bring up strong emotion, might even trigger past trauma for you, right? What do you do to get through those, what I call tilt moments, where you have that temporary interruption in logical thinking that takes you into wanting to misbehave?
Two things: forgiveness and communication.
Ah,
Forgiveness, we might not always agree, meaning my wife and I, on the approach. And sometimes we don't have to, or we don't have a chance to be in the moment in those situations. So we're winging it. But you can bet that I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to say, what should I do? What do you recommend? Or Mama has already given me the knowledge that I need to handle those difficult situations. And we ask our kids all the time when they think they failed, and we'll ask them, how do we learn? And they'll always respond by failing. And we're the same way. If I think I failed, I'll say, you know what? I learned something today.
yes.
And that means they know that I was probably wrong, but I knew I was wrong and I've learned something from it. And I will say to them, thank you for teaching me today.
Wow.
Simple. It's really the forgiveness and the communication. Our kids are bound to make the wrong choices.
Yes.
We have to we have to let them, as long as those choices aren't, something that's going to break the law or hurt somebody else. We let them make those choices, and we remind them that it's probably not a good choice.
Right.
But and we're also there when they come back and they want to communicate with us and they want to talk about it. The fact that they're approaching us and I made a mistake, I learned, I want to I want to do it better next time. How can I do that? And they'll come back
Yes.
to us and ask us those things. That's why, one of the reasons why our daughter, who is now 9, she's 9 this year, and she's already written her first book. She wrote her first children's book when she was 7. And she will be dancing next week in nationals. And it's because we let her and all of our kids do the things that they love. And I want to go back to answering your question, which part of that is not only the forgiveness and the communication, it's being able to cope with it after the fact, after all the poop has hit the fan, and you have those moments where you can reflect. I'm going back to my 8-year-old self and what my mom did for me. She got me started writing computer software when I was 8. She would drop me off at a college while she went to her church function. We had family and friends at the college. They would let me use the computers. That became my balance, Lafaya. So whenever I'm emotionally drained, I can go onto my computer, do some geeky, techie, or creative stuff, and my brain will just balance out. And that is so vital to dealing and trying to solve all the chaos that's going on.
Oh, that's so awesome. So
Yeah.
you're 3, okay? Because you went from your 2 to your 3.
Yeah.
Forgive, same 2 for the other because that's their core, right?
Yeah. Those are core.
Forgiveness,
Yeah.
communication, and reflection. Just
Hmm.
like remembering what worked for me, what helped me before, right? That helps you to kind of know, it informs you as to how to deal with the situation at hand. And again, all of this works together. See, I love what you talk about because the things you talk about, they all kind of work together. Like for my 4 steps, I like to say they work together like the ingredients of a cake, right? If you're able to apply all 4 steps, then you get this wonderful, delicious thing, right? And if you're missing a step in there somewhere, then your cake might be a little flatter than you like, or little, less tasty. You miss that pinch of salt, and no, the taste is just missing, right? Or in just a plain old ugly cake, right? If you do it, missing something, right? But those things really work together. Knowing, being able to reflect back, figure out what worked for you, use that to problem solve. All of that leads to your being able to forgive, because now it's not hopeless. Now it's not your hands are tied, there's nothing you can do about it. Those things that cause resentment, there's something I can do about, and it
Yeah.
helps along that aspect of forgiveness. Not that you absolutely have to have it, but it helps it along. Because when you're a victim to something, when you're helpless to something, when you can't problem solve about something, then there's just, it's really hard to move into that forgiveness territory,
Yeah.
because now you're in violation. My life is out of control. Your life is out of control, and I am not happy about it. Very hard to find forgiveness in that, right? And then that communication, just being able to, you can tell that you and your wife created a wonderful environment for your children because they would come to you, and there has to be something really special that happened in order for them to be able to come to you and say, hey, I don't like that these things happened. What can I do next time? Or next time I'll do something better. I have this in therapy, or in some of my parent training. I would teach them the wonderful power of next time, or the fantastic power of next time. I forgot how I referred to it, but people are like, okay, what? That's where forgiveness is built into that, because you
Yeah.
can say to someone, and you can say to yourself, hey, I don't really like the way this turned out or that turned out. Next time, I'll do it this way, right? And then that makes it so much easier to be able to forgive. Again, forgiveness to yourself and forgiveness to others, but they go again hand in hand,
What's
right?
tomorrow, Lafaya? What's tomorrow? It's a new day.
Oh, I like that. I was gonna say the day
Whenever
after
our
today.
kids, whenever our kids put their heads down, we'll ask them, "What's tomorrow?" And they'll say, "A new day."
Oh, I love that.
That's the forgiveness side of it. They know that when they wake up in the morning, everything that happened the day before, we start fresh.
I love that.
We start fresh. And sometimes, my wife and I are human. We get into it sometimes. Just, back and forth, nothing physical or anything like that.
Right.
But, you know, the next day, I probably could have done something different there. So it's a new day. It's a new day. It's a chance to, if you think you owe somebody an apology, it's a chance to say, I'm really sorry about what happened. I was
Yes.
wrong. It's a new day. You have a
Yes.
chance to start that day by either reflecting on what happened before or a chance to make somebody's day. Like our autistic son. He's brutally honest. Lafaya, I love your dress. He will put a smile on somebody's face. The
Yes.
way you start out that day is the way generally the way that day's gonna go,
Yes.
unless you have chaos thrown at you. So yeah. So I like that. Um yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I'm really, really excited about, what it is you're talking about because you effectively with, your share today, you did what I'm attempting to do, by the way. Right? Which is to help people recognize how connected these two concepts are playing the hand that you're dealt and then being able to kind of take those really rough, tough moments and kind of find your way through them, work your way through them, right? Because we're going to have those rough and tough moments, especially those who maybe tend a little bit more towards being sensitive or hypersensitive, or those who have a more of what I call red alert brain, right? For those who are not just naturally zen, because there are those we have different temperaments, right? Different personalities out there. People carry things differently. But for those who tend to struggle with maybe feeling a little bit more anxious, a little bit more, right, of some, those things that people consider negative, right? Understanding the concepts of playing the hand you're dealt in life. So then that way you're not overly focusing on the bad. You're learning to understand, okay, like you said, what's tomorrow? A new day, right? And identifying, as you said, identifying those failures as opportunities to learn or something that you have learned from. Now, whether you learn the hard way or the other way, you still learn, right?
yeah.
And so calling those things out, so then that way you're able to kind of keep yourself from having those strong emotional moments, like emotion where emotion overtakes and overwhelms. Now, it doesn't mean that we won't have emotion. It just means that we won't be overtaken in such a way that we go on tilt into that space of temporary interruption of logical thinking, and then we're
Yeah.
acting out, right? So then our tilt becomes a little less tilty, right? The
That's why you
more,
need that balance. You need to find
yes,
something you love to do, whether it's creative, analytical, that just helps you balance. So it just you're getting pulled in one way or another way. You have to find some way to bring your brain back to the middle.
yes,
Yeah.
finding that the perfect word, finding that balance,
Yeah.
right? And finding your ways to get there more and more quickly. The more we make shifts in our perception of things, especially those things that we perceive to be negative, right? The more we're able to kind of see how does this thing work out for me. Hey, in the past, talking about reflecting back, in the past when I felt similar feelings, right? How did I get through it? Because I didn't just stay in that space, right? Up until this point here, right? How did I get through it? The same way I got through it here is the same way I'm going to get through it. So then we can start asking ourselves why add or allow emotion to have so much control, negative emotions to have so much control over me when I know I'm going to get through this. This too shall pass, right? And so
Chaos is such an unforgiving paradox
it's true.
because you're thrown into it. But if you can wield that chaos and learn from it, you have the opportunity to be able to help other people.
Yes.
And that part of it is so rewarding because you're forgiving yourself when you help somebody else, and you're
Yes.
also making an impact on somebody else's life.
Yes.
So it is an unforgiving paradox at
Mhm.
its core.
Yes. It's so key to
Mhm.
recognize the power in some of these things that we consider pain, right? And it could be pain, but like it's learning how to now understand the bittersweetness of it all, right? The more we have, the more experiences we have, the more that informs our gifting. It informs our ability to help someone else, which in turn gives us exactly what we need to heal, like you said, to
Yeah.
what exactly what we need to heal. And so our very experiences that wound us give us exactly what we need to heal. So that is so fantastic. Wow, I knew I was excited about our conversation today. And I know that you probably have been called a saint like 5 million times in your lifetime.
I don't think I'll ever reach that level because, growing up, it was frequent pilfering of money in the church collection as an altar boy. So, but I even learned something from that. You can't buy your
Yes.
friends.
You cannot. That
You
is, boy,
cannot buy your
that's a
friends.
whole look, that's a whole other conversation. But Daniel, I thank you so much for blessing my podcast with your wisdom. I'm so excited for the people who will have a chance to hear this, and for especially for those who will be impacted by
Um,
this wonderful share. Okay. So guys, keep in mind, this is a quick recap, right? We want to stay in a place and space of forgiveness, right? Because forgiveness is not just for the other person. Forgiveness is for us. What we put our energy into, we get more of. So understand that if we kind of lack putting energy into that forgiveness space, we get less of it ourselves, even from ourselves. Okay. So that forgiveness, that communication, making sure that you're leaving a space open for those whom you interact with to be able to come back to you by way of teaching them. You're modeling through your communication to them
yeah,
how to communicate to you, right? So communicating those concepts like next time, the concept of next time, what is tomorrow, which I love, right? A new day. Those kind of concepts set you and your family or the environment that you're in up for a lot more positive days, good feelings, and
yeah,
freedom, free communication, right? So that forgiveness, communication, and I know he used a better word than I did, but reflection is a word I pulled from it, but and reflection. Just
yeah,
being able to, because this will help you do the other two, right? Being able to think back to, okay, so how was it for me? How did things work? How did we manage to get things to work out for me? We found activities for me to do that would stimulate my mind. That's what helped me, right? And so then that way we can pass those things on to others who are struggling. And when we pass those skills on to others who are struggling, then we ourselves experience more of that self forgiveness for some of that bad stuff that we did, I did, we did, you know, as younger people or even yesterday, who knows, right?
yeah.
We're human. So you guys, such powerful stuff. Daniel, can you tell our audience where they can find you? And and if there are any offerings you have out there right now, please share those as well. I'll have those also in show notes, guys.
You can find me on LinkedIn. It's Daniel B as in boy Hall is my alias. And yeah, I mean, anybody's feel free to reach out to me. I'm very responsive. But that's about it. That's the only place that you can find me. I
What
don't
what
do
are
a
the
lot
what
of
are the
socials.
what are the services that you offer?
Not it's yeah, I don't. it's just, if people need to can reach out and communicate with me, and have a chat about, like video. I've done a lot of things in my life, Lafaya. I've worked with Hollywood actors. I've written books. I've done a lot of things. Feel free to pick my brain.
So I heard that you do a little help, you help out a bit with people who may want to do, and I forgive me if I'm wrong, so I'll cut it out, whatever. But that you help out with people who want to record audiobooks, like take their books and they have them translated into
I
audio
do.
recordings. I heard that's
I
something
do.
that you're pretty handy with.
Yeah, I
Oh,
did create a book about social media, the top 100 list of lies on social media,
mm-hmm.
which was, yeah, I've been an audio engineer for about 25 plus years, and doing video about the same amount of time. And it's just one of the things that I'm pretty good at.
Okay. Oh well, see, guys, you see, he's a humble guy, right? And mostly
Yeah.
take a humble guy seriously to raise six foster children and still be smiling about it. So so anyway, again, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Check him out. If you have, if you want to tech whiz at, certain things, check him out, pick his brain, find out if I know I'll be reaching out, find out find out, if there's some areas that he's, kind of able to help you in and that kind of thing, because he has lots and lots of experience. And I guess I'll tell you guys goodbye now. And until next time, keep in mind that it's not about the hand you're dealt, it's about how you play it. All right. Stay strong, guys. See you next time. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. And if you're interested in learning more about playing the hand you're dealt in this mental game of life, you'll love my book, Poker, A Woman's Game. To download your free chapter today, click on the link in our show notes or visit lafayawaypoker.com. See you soon.